Hey guys, Rob from Georgia here with you, aka VHS82 apostrophe, with episode 3 of my newly established Italy's Holocaust. The films between 79 and 94, specifically out of Italy. Perhaps the last great high point for Italian horror cinema. And today for episode 3, I thought I would turn to a great who this particular film in 1982, which I consider the greatest year for horror films, I'm still like sort of new to. And so that's what I kind of wanted to do. I kind of wanted, at least at the beginning, not really rush into the greats, or at least in terms of what's considered their great films that I'm really familiar with, or those that I love the most. I thought it would be better served if I just spent a lot of time on the lesser well-received, or perhaps those from the likes of Dario Argento that I'm still sort of new to. And so discovering or rediscovering it is interesting for me. You notice I got it covered because this is a giallo, and this is such a multi-layered film. Too many of the images that fly across give way too much away. It's an Arrow release. It's a fabulous set screen. Or menu screen, whatever. If you've never seen Tenebre by Dario Argento, you really need to see it as cold as possible without being fixated on the images behind me. So be content with some Goblin-esque gore. Of course, it's just the 3 main members of Goblin, so it's not really credited as Goblin. The drummer's not there. It's still one of the most insane scores. John Saxon, of course, is in here as the literary agent to Peter Neal, who was played by Anthony Franciosa, I think that's how you say it. You got Daria Nicolodi in here, who plays Bellamar, who is John Saxon, his assistant. And really, what you have here, really at the heart of it, and I want to talk about it, but I don't want to really give a lot away, and I'm not revealing anything in terms of anything that might give anything away, okay? I'm going to try my best here. Really, you have an author, American author, who comes to Italy. I think he's trying to market a new book entitled Tenebre. Somebody doesn't like it, and so they decide to become a real thorn in Peter Neal's side. Now, this has the effect of pushing the first of many dominoes that will just showcase just how layered a Dario Argento film can be. The cinematography is out of this freaking world. It is so stylish in how it is even choreographed on screen, and maybe even too perfectly. This is a visually intense, very overly stylized film that leans much more on that than, say, just the mechanics of plot or structure. Although, like I said, it's multi-layered, man. If you watch this for the very first time, or when you watched it for the very first time, did you really know who the killer was, or the entirety, the complexity of the writing involved here? I had no idea. I did not forecast who the killer was. It is a really interestingly written, layered, and one that is, it has its roots in, really, it's two sides of a similar coin. One, all the heavy criticism that Dario had received about the amount of violence he was laying out in screen, and what did that mean about not only what he was showcasing, but his attitude towards women, who he was as a person. And I think he just got tired of that, and so he decided to create a film that answered that criticism. And the other side of that coin is based on a real life moment where somebody who was kind of like a stalker, who started to harass him and blamed him for how screwed up their life was because of the movies that he made. And so it's like kind of two sides of that coin. And when you have a movie that is rooted in something like that, it usually comes out pretty good. And this one, I'm telling you, like I said, I think I said earlier, 3 members of Goblin provide the score, which is one of the best, man. I'm not sure why the drummer wasn't there for that. I'm not sure about that. Argento surrounds himself with 3, well, probably more than 3 regulars, but his cinematographer, his editor, and one of the chief makeup effects artists that he had with him on Suspira and other films. Lamberto Bava and Michele Sauvé offer cameos in this. Bava is a elevator electrician, I think, and Michele Sauvé is just a small cameo. But his moment actually segues into my favorite sequence of the entire film, which, let me just jump into that real quick. I think, not that, I don't know if you could just take this as a set piece or sequence of events where everything on one side and everything on the other side sort of revolves around it, but I think it is a pretty intricate moment to the film. And then this is as far as really into the film I'm going to get, I think. So you got Maria, who is the daughter of Peter Neal's landlord, who is out on a date with the kid who is Michele Sauvé. They're out on his motorcycle. He stops. They're in an argument about something. She ends up getting off. He rides off. He doesn't care. And as she starts to make her way seemingly back home, she's walking along this fence line. And out of nowhere, this is in the middle of the night, this Doberman, man, flies at the fence, snapping at her. And of course, it totally freaks her out. Well, she kind of hits back at the fence. Probably not the smartest thing to do. And here's where, we kind of take a little leap off into believability. I want to just say this, man. This whole sequence, as it begins and almost ends with the dog, this Doberman. I know what it's like to be attacked as a little kid by a dog. So this kind of hits at me in a little different level. I know what it's like to be a little kid on a bike on the ground with a Doberman snapping this close from your face. It's not fun, man, especially being a little kid, man. So anyways, this dog, man, is so antagonized. It gets over the fence, this really tall fence, chases her unknowingly. And this is where, of all the places to be led to, and her trying to get away from this dog who attacks her multiple times, and she's able to fend it off. But she's eventually chased up onto the doorstep of this really luxurious, I would call it a villa, man. Just looks like a villa, man. Beautiful place. It's the killer's villa. That's as far as I'm gonna go. Because once you're in that scene, you kind of know at least the beginning of what's to come down the pike. And so when the killer leaves, has unknowingly left a key in the door that leads down to the underground part of the villa. And thankfully, as a result, for her, she's able to at least momentarily get away from the dog. But when she goes down the steps and into the cellar area or whatever, she is immediately confronted with photographs of some of the victims of recent, and it doesn't take her long to realize that she is in the lair of the killer. And man, I'm telling you, the score, man, this girl, I can't think of her name. Laura Wendell. She was in Ghost House. She was in Killing Birds, Zombie 5. Absolutely, I just love watching this actress. This maybe might be her best moment, man, in terms of a horror, giallo, whatever. She eventually realized she can't go out the door she came because the dog's still out there. So she goes on into the house thinking she can at least maybe call the police, because she realizes she's got valuable information now before she makes her exit out of the house. Unfortunately for her, the killer shows up. And it doesn't take long before that series of events ends just outside of the villa between the killer and her. In that segment, maybe, and it's almost too bad that you get to a point between the killer and her. It's almost kind of too bad that you didn't bring the dog back into the equation as a nice bookend. That would have been a nice bookend. It might have, depending on how it was handled, could have really made for a perfect full sequence that's bookended by a similar thing here. So anyways, that's an interesting thought. I didn't think about that when we get to the end of that sequence. But this author, kind of like I already described with what fueled Dario Argento to actually make this movie, is a lot of this is written into the character, one of our main characters, just leave it at that. And so it's almost sort of autobiographical maybe in the sense, or maybe just therapeutic in the sense of it's a way that Dario is basically dealing with several issues in one film. It just, the alignment of a lot of forces come together, I think, that help make the early 80s such a great moment for Italian cinema. And like I said, I'd go into the movie or the video stores to rent out VHS tapes every weekend. This was definitely one of them I would have rented. I'm not going to say it's the one that it didn't like leave an indelible mark on me. As a kid, there were other, because I was a kid. So, I mean, I was like more left with, marked by more fantastical films, you know, the Suspiras, the Phenomena, Zombie, or anything of such a fantastical element to it that drove it, is what I would have really been moved by. I mean, I remember Deep Red. I remember renting that. I remember, of course, Tenebrae. I don't really remember renting Bird with the Crystal Plumage. It's, again, I'm a kid. Artwork would have grabbed onto me, and, you know, and a lot of times, for better or worse, I mean, if you remember going into the video stores as a kid, the artwork, sometimes you were happy with what you got. Other times you kind of looked at it and went, well, you know, there you go. So I don't know how much more I want to say on this. Just that I was really impressed with just, I don't know. It's when I think of the great films of Dario Argento, throw my apologies out there. Tenebre is not the first film that comes to my mind, but is definitely in that heap of films that do come to my mind now. And so that's interesting. A lot of interesting flashbacks as layers get created for certain characters. I have to say, Daria Nicolodi, she had a moment towards the end that was kind of reminded me in a weird way of the end of Phenomena, or aka Creepers, for different reasons, but reminded me. And I'm telling you, man, she has got a way of, I don't know, man, when she kind of goes into that psychotic mode or just that screaming mode, man, she really can bring it on. I mean, from time to time, she could really bring it on. And so, you know, a lot is John Saxon's fun. Even the guy who plays Peter Neal is pretty cool. The detective, Gemma, is really, he's not the more well-known detectives that you see in some of these giallos. The one that really left its mark on me, of course, is the one from The Bird with Crystal Plumage, for sure. But just the visuals. There's that moment where I really talked about involving Maria, where the camera's back a ways and you see her running across kind of like not a field, but like a piece of yard property or whatever, with the dog in high pursuit. Sort of reminds you of just visually the girl running through the woods in Suspira. So, I mean, this definitely has that Dario feel. I mean, he is still gunning full force ahead. It's not going to be till after Opera in 87, I think that is, when Dario's going to start to fall off a little bit, and maybe to a great extent at a point. But in 82, Dario, man, is in full swing. And, you know, him and Fulci, man, are two of my favorites from the Italian scene. And both are really different directors in terms of style and the substance that they bring. I don't know. It's just interesting. So, episode 3, Tenebre. What'd you think? Is this one of your favorite Argento films? Is it your favorite Argento film? Or is it at least up there? Have you not ever seen it? Or if it's been a while? I know, I think Arrow just gave this a 4K treatment, maybe? I just got the older Arrow release, which is fine. It's got a lot of good extras, a couple commentaries, an interview with Dario talking just about some of the real life things that kind of went into what motivated him in writing this. Some of the things involving Goblin. You know, it's just like any Arrow release, man. Lots of stuff, man. Lots of stuff. So, episode 3, Tenebre. I have no idea where I'm going next. I don't know if I'll do this or not, but I'll just say I had Enigma by Fulci on my mind. That's another lesser-known work for me personally. And so I don't know. Unless something jumps into my mind more than Enigma, that might be the next down the list. But anyways, man. Anyways, as always, we end these things off with Go Bills.
This is not a dream.